Hi everyone, today is Tuesday, October the 5th, 2021, and I know I haven't made a video last Friday and yesterday, Monday as well. And the reason is actually on October the 1st, that was my dad's anniversary, and his death anniversary, in case that needed to be specified. Because I never know how anniversary is taken in this country, but that's kind of how we refer to it back in India. Anyway, so I decided to use that day to do some of the prep work for the business, for the company that I'm starting. And for a long time I was kind of debating the name of this enterprise, and I've decided what I will name it. But that's going to be a whole different video when I actually launch everything and make it public. But so I spent some time just prepping everything and and setting things up. Because if some of you may know that my dad was very much into silver. There's a video I made. It's called "I'm Not a Silver Stacker, But," and he was also very much into art, as am I, so that's a little hint, I guess, of what my business is all about. Anyways. Today, I would like to do a bit of a book review because over the weekend I listened to the second book that I've ever listened to that's written by James Rickards, and the first book that I read of his, and it's weird, I'm kind of going in backwards order because the first book I read of his was one that came out this year. Mm-hmm. And it's called The New Great Depression. It's a really cool art on the page, on the cover page. It's a $100 bill with a what's his name, Benjamin Franklin, with the little mask on. And yeah, so I had read/listened to that book of his first. And I may do a different sort of book review video of that one, but I recently, over this weekend, and I just finished it yesterday, I listened to his book that's called Aftermath, and I was wondering whether it would be kind of the aftermath of all this, but it's actually a book that he had been working on since 2016, 2017-ish, and but it was not released only in 2017. I think at least the Audible version was released this year or last year, and it's an absolutely terrific book. I had to, because I was listening to it and I was not reading it, and it does have quite a bit of equations and formulae, etc. Like, for example, dollar divided by gold, and then SDR divided by dollar, and then you derive the SDR to dollar peg, or the manipulated peg that has been going on, that he hypothesizes in that book. For those kind of things, I did have to go back and listen and write it out to understand what he's saying, because somehow I just even though I enjoy listening to books, and I prefer listening actually than reading, when it comes to numbers and equations, I have to sit down and write it down, because otherwise it just does not compute. It's just words. So that's one little dichotomy in my brain that it took me quite a bit of time to listen through it, because I had to keep going back and writing down his equations so that I could understand the point he was making later on. And it's a great book. I highly recommend it. Some of the key takeaways I got from that book were we always talk about sort of the value of gold in dollar terms. Well, he brought it up in terms of the SDR. And for those of you who do not know what an SDR is, SDR is special drawing rights. And so this video, which is like sort of, I started off, I guess, as a book review. I'm also going to explain certain definitions of things. And what is an SDR? I'll explain it to you as I've explained it to my children. Back when the system was anchored to gold, you thought about the way I say it to my children is this. So the sun, what is morning, right? What is the morning wake up time? Suppose you say morning wake up time is sunrise time. Okay, sunrise time stays relatively stable from day to day, because that's like whatever, between 5:30 and 6:15, 5:30 to 7, something like that, depending on the season. So suppose you anchor your wake up time to sunrise time. Then that's sort of, think about that as the dollar to gold peg. Okay, now suppose you say, you know what, I don't want to wake up at 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 7 in the morning, like depending on the season. I don't want to wake up at that time. Too much discipline required, which is actually a perfect metaphor for why you'd break a gold dollar peg, right? So suppose you say, it takes too much discipline to wake up early. I don't want to do that. So you and a group of friends say, you know what, I'm not, okay, I have to stop here. All right, I'm not going to we don't want to abide by this sunrise time equals wake up time. What we'll do is we will create a basket of our own wake up times. So one of your friends wakes up at noon, another friend wakes up at 4. No, not really, because then that person would probably not go on this standard. One person wakes up at 8, one person wakes up at noon, one person wakes up at 6. Or maybe 2-3 people wake up at 6 and 7, and the other people wake up at noon or whatever. And you say, you know what, based on all of these wake up times, we will create our own little average wake up time, and that will be the new wake up time thing. So now you've utterly screwed up. You've like anchored your dollar, the wake up time, to this basket of bullshit. Sorry, and I know I don't think anybody from the IMF or whatever, or any famous influential person will ever be watching my video, but yeah. So no disrespect. Well, do I mean no disrespect when I say that SDR is a basket of bullshit? Yeah, maybe. But what it is it's a basket that's sort of unanchored in a way. But what he's talking about, what Jim Rickards is talking about in this book, is anchoring, or not even anchoring, but how that has been actually covertly anchored to gold at a peg of 900 SDR units to 1 ounce of gold. That's sort of the rough peg that's being maintained. And he goes into it very clearly that it's not proven, it's not, it's nothing. It's just some analysis that was brought to him by some other analyst from Switzerland, and that he doesn't have any like specific proof for all of this happening, but he outlines his logic in one of the chapters called SDR and Gold. And it's one of the 7 principles that he lays out. And I personally spent a lot of time on that one principle because I thought that was very, very cool. Even though he says that it's not, like he can't prove it, etc. Jim Rickards used to be with the CIA, so I don't think that he talks nonsense or like that he's a conspiracy theorist or something. He's a very normal guy, very normal, intelligent, and thinking person. So anyways, I thought that was very cool, and hopefully this also explained to you how I have explained what an SDR is to the children, to my children. So what an SDR is in normal speak is it's a basket of currencies. It's a basket of certain countries' currencies, and it's quite likely. Well, it was originally created in the late 1960s. In order to sort of replace the US dollar hegemony. And what is hegemony? Hegemony means like primacy. That's the world reserve currency. So the SDR was created sort of to share that power, so to speak. He also, in one of his chapters, he goes into he calls it the Mandibles Redux is the name of that chapter, and I think that's spot on, because he literally he crystallizes the Mandibles book, which is something that I have spoken of as a book review on my channel here. He gives a brilliant I think 18-minute synopsis of the book, and in obviously far more articulate a manner than I could muster, and so I highly recommend that chapter as well from his book. And I think in that chapter the main point that he makes is that if even so, don't count your net worth, and don't count like your house, your equity, where you live, etc. Just count your investable assets. Okay, take your investable assets. Well, wait, that's a different point. I'll stick on this point. The point he makes in the Mandibles Redux is that leave aside gold, silver, all your bunkers and your prepping and your hideout and your bullets and your guns and your whatever else. Forget all that. The main important thing when it comes to the aftermath, which is what the title of his book is, the most important thing would be community, and because how each person can support each other, what your main skills are, what your tradable skills are, and what you can do for each other, and the network of community that you have. That's the most important thing. And so that was another super important takeaway from that book. Another really good takeaway was the point I began to make, because my brain kind of went off on a tangent, but that was he talks about specifically how to de-risk your portfolio. If you are sort of stuck in that investment game, which many of us are by default because of our IRAs and 401ks. But so he says, remove your land or equity or whatever, your home, etc. Only take your investable assets into the mix, into this equation, and allocate 10% of that to physical gold. And he's specific on gold. He doesn't say physical precious metals. including silver and all, because silver is more volatile, and it is more volatile. And I heard some cool person talk about this as like gold is the Volvo, it's comfortable, reliable, but it's not very sexy. But the Ducati is like your sexy, yet kind of not super safe thing. And he compares like Ducati to silver and gold to the Volvo. That's a different person though. I kind of veered off the book again, but he talks about. He gives this really cool equation, which really like made it crystal clear to me. So if you take your investable assets and you assign 10% of that to physical gold, and say gold goes down by 20%, okay, which you may think, oh my god, like, oh, it went from $2,000 an ounce to $1,600 an ounce, holy shit. Well, but if you've invested 10%, right, so 10% multiplied by 20%, so that's what, 0.2. See, that's the thing. I can never talk math. I always have to write it down. Anyways, your downside is very small because that 90%. So if gold goes down ever, right, everything else goes up, like stocks, all the inflated stuff, right? It all goes up. So it's like by correlation, that goes way up and your wealth is fine. But if you have a bad crash situation like the 1920s and your portfolio is like, crushed by 80-90%, then you take that 0.8, so say 80%, 0.8 multiplied by 0.8 multiplied by 0.8, you get that, take that number and then you multiply it by your holdings. That's your potentially risky assets, right? Your IRA and whatnot. But then you, on the other side of that equation is your gold, and typically in that sort of a setup, you have gold go up, not 60%, but like 6 times. So you take that, and when you multiply both those numbers, you are actually left with the same or little more in entire, in full picture terms of what you have today. But you have like when I did the math, it was like you have like about 200-300K more than present day. So that math was really useful to do. I highly recommend that book. It's very good. It takes a while, or rather it took me a while to listen to, because as I mentioned, I listened to it and then I had to write things down. I had to treat it like a lecture that I was listening to, where I'm listening to a professor and I'm writing down things and then replaying it and checking to make sure, like with a recorded lecture, I'm cross listening to it to make sure I've got the thing right. So it took me quite a while to listen to the book and to absorb it fully, but it's absolutely brilliant, and I think I'm going to get a few more of his books too. Specifically, I think the next one I want to listen to is The Road to Ruin, and one other. Maybe I want to listen to The New Case for Gold, though I don't know if I want to listen to it, because I'm like, well, do I need to listen to it? Like, I listened to an interview that he did with Good as Gold Australia, this bullion channel, and he kind of already said it, and then he in a funny way, he kind of described, my book is a new case for gold, but maybe in some old Aztec place they may find like the old case for gold, and they'll compare it and they'll say the old case for gold is as the same as the new case for gold, so why bother? And I believe that. That's why I'm not sure if I'll listen to or read his new case for gold book, because I'm like, well, I'm sure the case has not really changed. But who knows? I think I'll listen to his Road to Ruin book first, because it seems far more fascinating, and also kind of vibes with this sort of pessimistic view that I hold in general. But in any case, thank you all for listening, and I hope this was useful to you. If you have any children in your life, please show them the section of my video, at least the part about the SDR, or take, maybe make it in a convert it to a way that you can explain, and you can I'm all tangled up, that you can explain to your child. And because I think it's really useful for us to educate young people on this. So yep, I hope this was helpful. Take care. Bye.